So since I was on the show,
Yep.
what was the hottest one then?
I'm trying to put it. Would that be Blair's Mega Death Sauce with liquid
I
rage
think
at the
so.
time?
That was
Yeah.
the one.
Yeah.
So how does that compare now? Are you guys still using Blair's? Is that like number 2, or did you just remove from the rotation?
We took that out, and then we brought back this new, like, hyper...
Was Blair upset?
Well, maybe. I probably at some level. But then Blair, I feel
Do
like...
you know Blair?
I know Blair through people. Like, I've never met Blair.
Damn, I got
It's like
dropped.
an elusive
I'm on the bench.
man in New Jersey. But I also, too, think, like, he had such a run there for a couple seasons where, he's like a jersey that we hang in the rafters. Like, he's retired. He's Hall of Fame. Like, he has, like, a statue outside of the stadium. Like, his legacy will live forever.
That's good.
But then with those sauces, what we did, like, speaking of the consequences of it, like, when you do something like this on a long-term level, we were like looking into, like the possible side effects, like from a health perspective. And it's like, well, if you use natural ingredients, then, like you actually end up like cutting that down quite a bit.
Really?
So like that was our move. Like we had to take the lineup and move to, more natural sauces.
Was
just
Blair's
be easier on me.
extract based or?
Yeah, so like a lot of those like super, super hot ones, they'll use an extract or whatever, and that's what like really turns that up. So our challenge with this is like, obviously we need to make a super hot sauce, like that's the name of the show, but then how do you do it with natural ingredients? So what we did with this is we hooked up with our boy, and him like through reputation, Smokin' Ed Curry.
Yeah.
And we put him on the phone and we're like, that was our challenge, like, how do we do this? And what's funny about Smokin' Ed Curry and then these just pepper growers in general is they're all like architects who are trying to build the tallest building. They're all kind of insane. The subculture of these spice farmers is nuts. And Smokin' Ed Curry might be the craziest one of them all. So he grew the Carolina Reaper. I mean, of course. He grew the Carolina Reaper, which for years and years was the Guinness Book of World Records hottest
Notorious pepper.
Right, notorious pepper.
Yeah.
And then what happened is this farmer in Wales grew a dragon's breath chili that topped the Carolina Reaper. But Smokin' Ed is always playing chess.
Never to be top.
And I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to share it, but fuck it. It's like he has this war chest full of peppers. He's got aces up his sleeve that are all hotter than the Carolina Reaper, and he had it even when the Carolina Reaper is the Guinness Book of World Records.
He was just chilling back.
He was daring
Oh my
all these
God.
other chili farmers to top him so that he could just dunk on him right back.
Like Kobe. Right.
So the next one in that line was Pepper X. So we're like, all right, so if we take Pepper X and then and here's the other thing that we wanted to do, because it's not hard to make something super spicy, and we don't want just a sauce. It's like, well, you might as well just like tear gas yourself in the face.
Pepper spray your eyeball.
Right.
Yeah.
So like a culinary challenge is in balancing that
The flavor.
heat and then making something that has a great flavor. So that was our goal. That was our challenge.
Can you really enjoy the flavor of this?
You tell me, Ethan.
I will. I want to say at the end of the show, because I don't want to ruin this beautiful moment to actually chat.
Right.
We wanted to try this, and the crew wanted to try it. So we're all, as I'm saying,
somebody did pop the seal.
They smelled it.
Oh, okay.
They gave it a whiff. Nobody's tried it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to try it. I want to try this. All of us are going to try it at the end of the show, as I'm saying thank yous. But so tell me, compared to Blair's, how far have we gone?
Well, I think that at some point you just get into the clouds where it's like you're just, you know what I mean? There's not that much separation. I think though, on just biting into it, if you have Blair's or Da Bomb, which you guys have.
Da Bomb is the one
Is
that
that
I
the number
remember.
9 that we did?
I think it was number 8.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Da Bomb, and I always see it with the guests, is always the one where this one's fucked up.
And that's true because
And the one that stands out in my mind is the worst one.
Right, it is for sure. And it's because it has that just pure extract and then very few, if any, redeeming qualities.
Right.
So you're not only eating something that's super hot, it also doesn't taste good. So it's just a miserable experience all around. So I think that having gone through that or whatever, then this does seem like a reprieve because at least it doesn't taste like shit. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Psychologically. Plus, once you're in it, and maybe you can tell me from being on that end and as somebody who's gone through it a bunch of times, I feel like it's not necessarily like an escalation in the sauce. Like it's kind of a bell curve. Like
it is.
You end up like eating and you're like, oh, this is good. And then you're like, oh, this is getting spicy. And then you're like, oh, I want to die. And then you have like a couple wings left. So it has that like psychological thing. But once you get to that point, like your mouth's like so burnt out. You're so like into the show. Like you've sunken into that seat that it's like, fine, you might as well get pepper sprayed. Like you're not going to be in any worse a condition.
No, you're definitely right. Once I hit the bomb, because you're like, man, how can it get any worse than this? But it actually doesn't really.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, the number 9, because I did the last two.
And too, because you have such a unique experience too, because you didn't
I just
inch
yeah,
up.
I
You just
jumped.
had to like go right in.
So that number 9 killed me. And then the 10 was a little better.
I wonder if it's worse for you.
It's way worse.
Because I was like, the bomb is awful, and then I was somewhat like relieved by it.
Right.
But you just got slammed.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a very unique experience. So, guys, stay tuned. We're all gonna hit you. You have nothing to prove. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Fuck it. I feel like though, it's just gotta
It's
be
your weekend.
It's gotta be a real Jonestown situation in here. I think.
I'm not gonna. Whatever you want, but I was wondering, what's the difference? Because we had 2 of these. I was like, Reaper.
We have Pepper
because we
X
wanted to hook
and
you up.
X.
So here's the situation: is like it's like with Samuel Adams. You might have like a winter ale, and then you might have
Just
an
a different
Oktoberfest.
flavor.
So we used
They're
the
both
Carolina
fucked up.
Reaper. Yeah, they're both pretty fucked up. We put the Carolina Reaper in one, and then the last dab Pepper X in the other. But also because shout out to the fans. Thank you to the fans. Pepper X, coming from Smokin' Ed Curry, it only grows on one farm. And then now we have this like
is super limited.
international demand for this sauce.
I was like,
So they like our fans, shout out to you guys, thank you so much.
shout out.
Drained the lake. You know what I mean? So it's like we can't like
You can't make enough.
as we grow it, as we make it, it just disappears. So to like bridge that gap in the growing season, we're like, here's the last dab, Carolina Reaper. But that is the what we want to do. Like to us, like making an episode is a creative process, but so is making a hot sauce.
This
like
one's
you always want to
spicier.
try it.
The X.
I think that they're, I think that if you asked 10 people,
Side by side.
5
Let's do
people
it.
would
We'll
say
do it
that,
at the end.
5 people would
At
say
the end of the
that.
app, we're gonna do it. We'll do both.
All right, cool.
You don't have to.
I'm into it though.
By the way, the
Okay, all right.
Pepper
God bless
X, is that going to be the final name?
Gila. So I think like at first it was like we were like name to be determined, and then we were like Pepper X, and then we're like whatever. But then now I feel like everybody knows it as Pepper X.
'cause
That if,
that's
like,
It's
what I
on the
was gonna
label as
say.
Pepper X.
Right, so I
and I
feel
like
like
it. It's like, oh shit.
it is. Yeah. It's a
Well,
good
the next
name.
one's gonna be Pepper XX.
I was
So-
kind
right,
of going to
right.
say that. So,
we had it as a placeholder, but now there'd be like massive confusion in the
Yeah.
marketplace.
You can't
if
change
we called it something different.
You can't
yeah,
change it.
so we can't.
Maybe
change it.
back in the day he'd call it Pepper X, but now that you're hitting the scene,
I
and
like
you're-
the name.
Thank you.
It's
All right, then sold. Ship.
it's X. Yeah. And so, but are you implying that this psychopath who makes these peppers
is a psychopath.
has another one up his sleeve beyond X?
And another one.
Oh my
and
God.
Another one. And another one.
And he's like eating them, right? And
Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah, he's
is he-
insane. He'll like, I've seen him. He'll just be like, I'll be like, what are you doing? He'll just be like snacking on Reapers and stuff.
No.
He's nuts. He's about it. Like he's about the life.
Does he genetically alter? Like, how is he breeding peppers? I mean, I guess that's a science that I don't understand. Maybe.
Yeah. So like it's same to me. Like he'll explain it. We'll like talk it through. But yeah, he's like doing these like crossbreed like Frankenstein
biologist?
experiments.
Like
he has like a whole interesting backstory. If anybody wants to dive in deep on the Googles, I won't like air some of his laundry. But yeah, he's been a Breaking Bad chemist of sorts his whole life, and
Instead
then
of meth?
now he's
Hot sauce.
he's channeling that into hot sauce. Yes.